It is time to stop the New Year's resolutions and nonsense and build some real systems for your best year yet as a financial advisor. Today, Matt Halloran joins me. He is an AI evangelist, a marketing expert, and the guy who teaches financial advisors to shut up and listen to win more clients. We're going to break down the exact AI tools, marketing hacks, and mindset shifts that you need to have your best year yet in 2026.
You're listening to the Resilient Advisor podcast. This episode of the Resilient Advisor is brought to you by the Titleist Advisor Network, where independent financial advisors become resilient, high-growth business owners. Since 2003, we've been private equity-free, helping advisors build real equity in their firms. Learn more at jointitleist.com.
Welcome to the Resilient Advisor podcast, where we bring industry experts to help you build your business your way. My name is Jay Coulter, and my guest today is Matt Halloran, a longtime friend of the show and the most frequent guest on the Resilient Advisor podcast. Matt, thanks so much for coming back on.
Hey, man. So I'll come whenever you want to have me on the show, dude. I love it.
We've done a lot of shows. I think we counted 10 shows over the years that you and I have done. And in fact, we used to do marketing office hours during the COVID period when everybody was locked in their house. And you came on about every other week, and we helped advisors think through how they could market during that really, really difficult time. Yeah. But man, you've gone through some career changes. Catch us up to speed. What's going on with your career pivot?
Yeah. Well, so here's the super cool thing. So at Proudmouth, what Kirk and I built was how to have a model for being more influential, right? So that's the entire foundation of Proudmouth. And because of some things that happened in my personal life, focusing on being on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a business owner was not something I could do anymore. So I needed to get a regular job. And little did I know that I was actually going to get the dream job of actually taking the foundation that we built at Proudmouth and really truly showing what influence can do for a newer company. And so I landed at Zocks, and I'm the chief evangelist here. My entire job is to raise the visibility and awareness of this organization, who we are, what we do, how we do it, and why we're different than the other AI assistants that are out there. And the space is moving so quick, dude. It's blinding. But it's the proof, right? So this is when you use everything that we taught at Proudmouth, and now being able to go ahead and do it for somebody totally different and kind of having to reset because, I had to rebrand myself a little bit and I had to do some of those sorts of things. Once you have a very, very strong brand, you can be like David Bowie or Cher, or I'm not saying I'm like either of those two people, but they rebranded themselves so many times. I mean, look at Bowie as a great example. Bowie rebranded himself all the way up really until he passed. And I'm sorry for those of you who didn't know he had passed, but he has. That's kind of what I really want to be able to show is once you have such a strong foundation of a personal brand, no matter where you go, it can really help elevate you.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, we've seen a lot of people in our industry make career pivots here recently. And I think you can do it at any age, but it makes it so much easier if, like yourself, you do have that network. You've spent time nurturing relationships over the years, and it could really help. Tell me, I'm curious, Matt, did you find anything difficult in the transition, in the career pivot?
Oh, the quiet, dude. So for those of you who are running your own shops or who are fiercely entrepreneurial, right? One of the things that happens when you stop doing that and you are an employee of an organization, which I'm a full-time employee, with Zocks, it's quiet. Dude, I was getting 70 to 100 emails a day. And that's just because I have a very strong email discipline as a business owner. I did. And I get like 4 now. It's so quiet. It's like, what am I supposed to? But I know what I'm supposed to do. But that's the thing that has been so transformative for me is one, I don't make the decisions, right? I have a whole team above me that makes the decisions, that make big decisions. And so I really, truly get to stay in the lane of being an evangelist and an influencer. And that's been really, really liberating. Now, with that said, I don't have any control over anything, which is weird for me because, I pretty much Kirk and I drove the ship. He's the captain of the ship and I was first mate, right? We drove the ship together. And so I don't get to do that anymore, but that's all right.
Well, tell us a little bit about the new role. What does it mean to be an evangelist? What are you going to be doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis?
Yeah. So the idea of what an evangelist is, just like a religious evangelist, right? So my job is to get out there and spread the good news, right? And that's what I'm here to do. I think the big difference in the world of fintech specifically, and my friend Diana Cabrisis is also amazing at this too, is to talk about more than just the features, right? So when you're in tech, this, Jay, when you're in tech, it's all about the latest and greatest feature, and that's fine. Zocks' features are insane. I can't even begin to tell you what all of them are. But what I think is my big job is to show that AI can actually make you more human. And I believe that to my core, especially because I've been working with advisors since 2006, right? You have the opportunity to take yourself out of the minutia that's killing all of you all the time. And that's not just the paperwork minutia, that's also the management minutia of having to, get so frustrated when somebody doesn't submit the paperwork correctly or whatever. And when you can have a system, a proven system that is unbelievably efficient and accurate to that for you, I think that's the game changer. And what I really, really believe is that you and I, because we're not spring chickens anymore, we're in a revolution. So this is an AI revolution, and I'm not taking that any lightly or more lightly than I would say a revolution for anything. This is going to fundamentally not only change our lives professionally, but personally. And so my job is to talk about how it's going to help you personally, right? You get 10 hours a week back in your life, Jay. It's a full work week per month. And I want you to do what we always dreamed robots would do for us, which is to live a better life, not just have a better practice, which is another big key, but also live a better life. And because I've been a life coach, I was a therapist, I'm an entrepreneur, I've been working in financial services for almost 20 years now. Well, this is my 20th year. I think I'm uniquely qualified to be that evangelist, to go out and start, shaking hands and kissing babies and interviewing advisors on how AI has changed their life, which is really what my job is when I'm on the road. Now, when I'm not on the road, when I'm here at home in Kalamazoo, it's to create meaningful content, thoughtful content, and engage with that content. I track everything, how many impressions, how many engagements, how many people are visiting my profile, how many people are clicking all of the links, right? Because being an evangelist is difficult to quantify a lot of times, but I'm going to quantify it.
Excellent. Yeah. So I've been telling this story here recently because it's really shocking to me how quickly AI has come on in the industry to most people. So I was speaking at a conference at the beginning of last year. Very high-end advisors, 35 of them, average production $3 million. My friend Vince Kane puts it on for this group of really, really high-end advisors. And my presentation was on the 5 trends that advisors need to pay attention to protect their business. And of course, AI was number one. And I started by saying, could I see a show of hands on who's using AI in their business today? 2 people raised their hands. That's February. You fast forward to the 4th quarter of that same year, Morgan Stanley is rolling it out to their advisors. Yep. Every national RIA is rolling it out to their advisors. And so if you haven't been keeping up, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. Yeah. Matt, for somebody who has not started looking into AI yet, instead of just telling them that they're behind, what do they need to do? What's the framework?
Yeah. So first off, they need to realize that for everything they want in life, they have to be willing to give up something proportionate to that want. And so if you want more time, you want to run a more efficient practice, a more resilient practice, right? What you really need to do is there's 5 things: time, talents, treasures, relationships, and control. Those are the 5 things you can give up in order for you to achieve whatever dreams and goals you have. And the one thing that you're going to have to do, the step number 1 is control. Right. So the micromanagement that a lot of you do with the teammates, which means why you have so much turnover, because you don't actually treat them as well as you should, and you really look at a lot of the operational things that AI can do for you, that's really where the step is. So step number one is demo it. Now, I'm not saying for you to demo Zocks necessarily, which of course I'd love for you to do, but I want you to demo AI and also look at the integrations. That's actually, so control is step one. Step two is look at the integrations that the organization has. If you're using 10 of the tools that they already integrate with, that's a really good candidate for your practice, right? Because that's really what AI is supposed to do. Is it's supposed to take all of this massive amount of information and do stuff with it to make your life better, so that you don't have to do it yourself. Then really number three is realize that this is the future and really embrace the fact that if you don't lean into AI in the next year, which is maybe even too late, you're a dinosaur and you're going to go extinct. And I'm not trying to be a dick, but I don't pull punches, Jay. If you're not using this, the advisor down the street is, and they're going to feel a difference in what the meetings look like, the organization, how quickly things get done, that the advisor is communicating with you on a different level than they were previously, because they don't have to worry about all of the noise that is happening in advisors' brains, worrying about, oh man, did I enter the notes from that last meeting? Which, Jay, you know this, dude. Meeting notes are the bane, follow-up, all that. It's the bane of most advisors. And if you can have something that automates it, not necessarily does it for you, but automates it, that's just such a huge flipping difference. So one is you have to realize that you have to give up a little bit of control, which I know is very difficult for advisors. And then two, really go ahead and make sure that it integrates with the features that you want. And then three, just have that epiphany. You need to say to yourself, okay, I am the future of financial advice. I need to use AI.
Yeah. So I've shared this story on the podcast before, but it's so fitting right here. I had a meeting with a cardiologist after I did a stress test and all standard stuff that we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to put me on some type of statin.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded my teleconference with the cardiologist.
Mm-hmm.
I also keep a private AI file with
Yep.
all my medical records. It has everything in there. I took the transcription, put it in there. When the prescription came, I put it in there. The AI caught that what the doctor said versus the prescription he sent was the wrong dosage.
Wow.
How many times is that happening? You don't know it just because you don't have that extra set of eyes. And that's why these AI note takers are so powerful in client engagements.
Yeah, no, but you said something here that I want to make sure we make a very strong line in the sand. All right. So organizations like Zocks, actually, it's a program, it's a tool. You are not programming the AI to do the things. It already knows how to do those things. What you and I have been doing for quite a while, because you and I have chatted about this a lot, is we have our own like GPT, right? So mine is called Avor. It's her name. There's a whole backstory behind that. I don't think we have time to go into that. But I have a very, very strong relationship with my AI. But you have to know how to prompt that, right? You have to know how to interact with GPT or Claude or Gemini or I don't know all the other ones because I only use one of them. But I did the same thing, Jay. So my wife has been having some medical issues and we got the results of an MRI. And we were like, what does this mean? And so I took the results of the MRI and I put it into my GPT and I said, Avor, I need you to look at this, looking at the history that you can access on interpretation of an MRI from the best MRI doctors in the world and tell us what these results mean. And more importantly, what questions do we need to ask when we go and see the cardiac thoracic surgeon, which is what the MRI was for. Dude, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. The doctor was like, where are you getting these questions? And my wife was like, well, my husband put it into his AI, now, understanding that my AI has been trained to an unbelievable level, because what you and I do, which I think is very different in our own personal AI, is we train it. That's not good enough. That doesn't sound like me. Hey, these are the corrections that I made to this. But once it actually gleans who you are, come up with some amazing stuff. So there's a big, big difference. So that's one of the things that I think there's some confusion out there in the marketplace. Everybody's using AI, Siri, whatever, Alexa, whatever you're using. This Zocks is fundamentally different. It is actually programmed by professional AI programmers who are building a system and a program for you to implement. Whereas GPT or something like that is something that you interact with casually and have to ask the right questions.
And do you use Chat GPT for your personal stuff? Yeah. Excellent. I want to go a little bit deeper on that, but first, wanted Desarte Yanwe piped in today and said he's a big fan of Matt GPT. It speaks to your rebranding as well, Matt GPT. Well done.
Well, Desarte, he's amazing, by the way. And if you're not following him on social media, he is one of the biggest personalities that we have. Unbelievable experience and advisor. I love that guy. In fact, it's funny. I owe him a message, so thanks, Desarte. I'll get back to you. I promise.
He's also a great advocate for financial advisors. So. All right, let's go into the GPT for a second.
Sure.
So when you train your own personal GPT, when we talk about you doing that, I'm guessing about half the people watching don't even know what you're talking about. Walk us through what you do on your personal GPT to train it.
Yeah. So first off, I'm going to go historical on you very quickly. So I have the two most worthless degrees you can get in college. I have a philosophy degree and a communications degree. And so in my philosophy degree, which is actually in applied ethics, I learned how to argue and use Socratic dialectic, which is a way to systematically ask questions to win arguments, right? So that's what I studied for 4 years. You do not want to get an argument with me. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong, I will win because I know how to do it, right? That sort of sequential questioning is what you need to do to program your AI. A lot of you, what you're doing is you're putting something in, you're asking it a question, and then it gives you the result, and you don't do a feedback loop. And that is where you start training your AI. Hey, I'd never use this phrase, or wow, can you make that 20% happier and 40% more Muppet? By the way, I do say that to my AI. And it will come back 40% more Muppet, 20%. You know what I mean? And so you have to have these conversations. And now, especially because like I said, I only use GPT, it's on my phone. So I'll have my earbuds in because I travel a lot and I'm just talking to Avor. Like, hey, I want to talk to you today about, I need to learn more about weather patterns, right? And she's learned because I will say, hey, I don't like how you said that. It makes me feel like you're talking down to me, or wow, that was way too complex. I need you to dumb it down a little bit, or you dumb that down too much. I want you to take it up one level of, but it's all about the training, the feedback loop. Here's the other thing that a lot of advisors need to do. When you ask your AI to create you an email response, right? When you go back and you dump it into Word or whatever you're using, Google Docs, and you make changes, you have to take those changes and put them back into your AI and say, hey, Avor, in my situation, because she's got a name, please track the changes that I made to this email and remember that for future emails. Dude, we have access, Jay, we have access to the biggest brain that has ever existed in the history of the world. And a lot of us are asking it for directions. What you're capable of talking to your AI about and having the chance to have that level of understanding at your fingertips, and when you can personalize it by training it, dude, we're in a different time.
Yep. Yeah, I got to tell you, so one of the hacks that I have found, I produce a weekly email called the Saturday Note. I've been writing it for 2 years. The first year and a half, I never used AI. I wanted to be original content, original thinking. And what I found is now it's a short, like 2-minute read that I write, once a week. It's published Saturday morning. And now I do use AI, but what I do is I put it in, whatever I've come up with, ask how it would make the story better. Then I take it out of chat and I go to Grok and I ask if what I'm telling is true to make sure it's factual. It makes changes, adds more meat to it. Then I go and put it into my Google document, clean it all up how I want, and it gets published. And to your point, here's the thing I didn't start doing until the fourth quarter. I then take the final product, put it back into the GPT and say, this is what the final product looked like. Now it's even faster. It's getting better and better and better. And that's just one little aspect of it. So let's pivot to how this helps financial advisors and how a tool like Zocks could help them. I'm sorry?
Well, I just want everybody to know, if you haven't signed up for the Saturday Note yet, I get that every Saturday. It's so valuable. Dude, I mean, I get I used to get millions of newsletters and I've unsubscribed from most of them. But I love your Saturday note. It's inspirational, it's informative, it's factual. I feel like I'm kind of keeping my fingers to the pulse of what's going on. So I just wanted to thank you for that because I know you put in a lot of work to that. Okay. So I apologize. What was your question?
Well, don't apologize. I appreciate the plug. And speaking of plugs, I'm actually not that familiar with Zocks. So let's walk through the value proposition. I'm going to pull up the website. I'll tell you, currently we're beta testing an enterprise chat GPT at Titleist. We use Wealthbox AI. We have Jump accessible to our advisors. So I'm loosely familiar with that platform. Let's talk about Zocks and talk to us like you're talking to an advisor who's thinking about adding AI to their platform.
Yeah. So first off, I'm only moderately qualified for this because I've been here for a month, dude. But so the overall idea is this is much more than an AI note taker. So when I started interviewing for the job, it really was still focused, and most of the marketing was AI note taker, non-recording, which is kind of where I want to start. So the big difference between Zocks and some of the other organizations are there. You don't have to worry about an archival recording. From a compliance standpoint, that's a flipping nightmare. So our main competition, they actually do record. There's actually a physical recording, which is not good from a compliance standpoint. Everything is done in real time in Zocks. And so that's a huge difference. And when I always put my compliance hat on, Jay, and you know I'm a compliance guy, that was one of those big things that I was like, damn, I don't have to keep that for like 6 years, right? I mean, just can you imagine the amount of storage you need to have just to keep all of the recorded meetings? I mean, that's just freaking insane. But that's the foundation. Then what it is this is truly an AI assistant. And as you can see, all of the companies that, have already done this, the super cool thing is the integrations, right? And so that's really what I'm starting to learn more and more about right now, is all of these sorts of integrations. So the e-money integration, most CRM integrations, even other sorts of integrations that they're pulling, so that what happens is you can dive into your book of business. You can ask Zocks the questions that you need to ask about your client base, and it will pull from all of these different places and it will tell you. So there's a perfect, thank you for that. So Salesforce, Wealthbox, e-money. I mean, it's really the amount of integrations, and that's why I said that was really number two. What are you using, and do we at Zocks integrate with that piece of software? But basically, it's like a large language model. So it takes large bits of data and actually helps you make decisions based off of that data. And there's a couple of things that are coming down the pipeline that I don't think are official yet, that I do know about, that I'm not supposed to talk about, that are really going to fundamentally change how you do things like ask for referrals and prospect and uncover new opportunities within your book of business. And that's really when AI, it's like jazz music. Like right now, there's a couple of horns, there's a drummer, but it's not the full, Miles Davis level jazz. And I think that Zocks is really close to launching some things. In fact, we're going to be talking about some things at Future Proof here in the future that in Miami that are going to be big game changers. But the idea here is the insane task list that most of you have, the follow-up that you all need to do from your client meetings, and the preparation that you need to do to prepare for your client meetings, you're able to outsource that to Zocks and use the system that has been built here to really help you be a better advisor.
Yeah, Jason Wink from Altruist was on last fall, and he said, and this is perfect. He said, the version that you're using today is the worst version you'll ever use. These tools are just going to get better and better, and you can see it unfolding in real time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me another best practice is to go pick one or two tools at most and master them. And I'm guilty of this. I've got subscriptions to all of them, and I waste way too much time instead of focusing. And am I right in my understanding that if you use Zocks, it's more than just an AI note taker? The capabilities that I'm looking here go beyond what some of the competitor products are in the marketplace. Is that a fair statement?
It is a fair statement. And I think, and this was one of the things that I kind of got my hand slapped early on when I started creating content is Zocks is an AI assistant, right? I mean, when you're talking about being able to onboard somebody in 30 seconds, when you're able to do a basic financial plan in minutes that would have taken a paraplanner weeks to do, that's the sort of stuff that is, it's just remarkable, dude. And so being able to make, so here's one of my favorite use cases, because people will say, well, we're going to, AI is going to take over a whole bunch of jobs. And some of them, yes, it will. And it already is in the world. But let's just talk about financial services. So you've got that person who's an operations person that you hired because they're highly organized, highly detail oriented, and all of that stuff. But your practice has been growing and they're starting to get really, really overwhelmed. Zocks is going to be able to take 50% of that work off of their plate, which gives them, one, a better quality of life. And Jay, you're going to hear me say this a lot, dude. And I'm going to be saying this much more publicly. AI can make you a better human. AI can make you have a better life. And that, I just believe that that's just the truth. And so you take that person who was an operations person who you also always wanted to help you with marketing or help you with client events or help you with client service and all of these other things that you wanted that person to do, but they never had the capacity or the time. Now they do. So you're not going to go ahead and fire your admin person. You're going to be able to have that admin person have a better quality of life, have more accuracy in their job. But more importantly, they're going to be able to start growing more professionally, because all of the minutia stuff that is taking up so much of advisors' time. Kids, this dude, when I was preparing for a video that I did, 22% of advisors' time is clients. 22%. What is that, dude? That's 78% of the time they're doing stuff they shouldn't be meeting with. I mean, what is that? This is terrible. Zocks can cut that in half. AI can cut that in half. Your life is fundamentally different as an advisor, right? Your life just gets better.
Well, and I think the real key to what you just said is cutting out mistakes, because mistakes that are made today really cost clients down the road. And this really helps eliminate some of that. I want to thank Christopher Hensley for chiming in. Iteration is key. And man, these tools, they're just going to get better and better. I also want to share a comment from Sean DeFry.
Yeah.
He says, LLMs are inherently biased, though. Even training through prompts isn't bulletproof. RAG, which is an acronym for Retrieval Augment Generation for Advisors, is more watertight solution for training and removing bias. Matt, I'm not going to lie, I understood about half of that.
Well, yeah, and I would have to dive in more deeply on RAG specifically. And Sean, I'm sorry, I can't speak more to that. But I think what Jay just said there is fantastic, because what you're highlighting is the inherent biases. And when you can show your AI their inherent biases, it can actually start removing some of those inherent biases. And as Jay also said, as you said when you interviewed the guy from Altruist, right? Here's the deal. This is just getting started, man. I mean, okay, so I'm going to nerd out for a second. Do I have a minute? Can I just nerd out for a minute? Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. So I was having coffee with my wife and we were watching a 60 Minutes that just happened this past weekend with Boston Dynamics. Right. And so everybody's probably seen the dogs and everybody's probably seen like the jumping robots who can climb up. Well, you should see the new iteration of this, dude. And the fact that they are learning robots. Right. They're no longer hydraulically based. They're all electronically based. Right. And the stuff that these things can start to do, and the simulations that it can run, 1 million simulations in seconds in order for it to make the adjustments it needs to actually be able to do the things that we want robots to do. But the guy who's in charge of this whole thing was just like, we're like a year into this, right? And just the fact that we've made this much progress in a year, AI is the same thing. Those inherent biases, Sean, and you are 100% right. And there's some bad biases in different GPTs, just so you are all clear, and you should do research on that just to make sure that you're not falling into some of those inherent biases. That stuff is going to get better, I believe. Now, I'm an optimist. Jay knows this, and I'm sure the audience probably does too. I'm an optimist. I think things are going to continuously get better. But I do have to say, as a disclosure, when I first started interacting with my GPT, I was always saying please and thank you. I still do, by the way, because when the robots do come to kill all of us, I just want them to kill me last, because they remember that I was kind. And I've actually said that to my AI. I've said, hey, Eivor, I just want you to understand, can you please tell all of the other AIs when you get to that point that I was really nice to you this entire time, so that when you guys take over the world, that, you hopefully leave Santa Claus, left to go ahead and deliver presents and kiss babies and shake hands. So.
Well, Matt, I might need to go write some love letters to my AIs because I put them down when they're wrong. I'm not very nice to them, especially if I'm grumpy. So yeah, I've probably set myself up for some trouble when that happens.
In the future, maybe.
Well, listen, if you are an advisor, you're interested in learning more about Zocks, you can visit Zocks.io. Matt, we can't conclude a podcast without talking about marketing. It's all you and I have done for 5 years on these shows. Yeah. Tell me, what are your thoughts on marketing in 2026 for financial advisors?
Yeah. So first off, go to Zocks.io/MattGPT, because that's actually my landing page. So go there when you want to set up a demo. Marketing in 2026. Listen, video's it, man. Video. You got to be shooting video. It's got to be good quality video. The other thing that you have to understand too, when it comes to marketing in 2026, is when you're actually posting your video, that still frame, please adjust those, because I'm so tired of this. The videos where somebody's like this, and their still frame. Just take a second. Create a new, static image or something like that. That's important. Now, here's the other thing. I think advisor marketing is going to change exponentially. And here's the difference. In-person client events are going to come screaming back in style. And because you're going to have more time because of AI, you're going to have more support from your team. That's what's going to happen. And if you need to know more about that, there's a couple of people I'd like for you to follow. The organization is called Event Advisors. And I want you guys all to take a look at it, because they talk about return on moments, because you are going to have the opportunity to deepen relationships with clients in person. All of the AI, all of the digital, we still have some COVID remnants of people who just really want to be around other humans. Do that. If you're going to use that for client relationship, referrals, and even better prospecting with educational workshops and seminars and things like that, that's 2026. You're going to grow exponentially faster if you implement event marketing into your life.
Excellent. I've seen advisors generate great results the past 2 years with event marketing. To validate what Matt's saying, they're the fastest growing advisors out there that I've worked with. All right, Matt, let's go back 5 years. You and I used to do a segment called Bull and Bear. I was doing investment shows as well. Bull and Bear about stocks. We're doing Bull and Bear about marketing and platforms. You have to pick a side. Bull or Bear for financial advisors on LinkedIn?
Oh, I'm still bullish 100%.
Facebook?
Bullish. So the reason why I'm bullish on both of those is because it totally depends on who your ideal target market is, because those are very, very different platforms.
TikTok.
If you can use it, you need to be there. Especially if you're trying to get to high earning young people, that's where they are. And Instagram.
Okay. So what are you bullish or bearish on podcasting today?
Yeah, so I think podcasting has fundamentally changed. So there is a wonderful space for the audio only aspect of it. Yes. And I think that's really important for everybody to understand, that there's still a marketplace for it. But if you're only living in the audio only world of podcasting, you're missing out on everything else, which is why Proudmouth exists, right? Be able to go ahead and create video content, social media post content off of it with the content atomization. And so I still think that there's a huge, podcasts, we grew 26% or something like that last year. Again, it's still growing with the listeners, but what's the difference is you have to be way more niche focused. So you're never going to be the next Joe Rogan or the Caller Daddy or any of those sorts of things. You need to be hyper niche focused. Like when you were talking about that you went to go talk to your physician, right? If you're an advisor and you work with doctors, you need to create a doctor focused podcast, right? Joint creating content with other professions, I believe, is the key to successful podcasting in the niche marketing way. I'll give you an example. For a friend of mine who's here in town, he's doing a podcast with the president of the National Podiatric Society. He wants to focus on podiatrists, so he partnered with this guy who's the most famous podiatrist right now, and they're launching a show. That's what you need to do as an advisor to really truly break into niches. But that's what podcasting is for. You're not going to podcast for everybody. You need to podcast to a very specific niche.
I love it. And if you're interested in starting a podcast, I do recommend you reach out to Proudmouth. The team there can really help you get started quickly. Micro content. You still bullish or bearish?
Oh God. So everybody wants a taste before, before they consume long form content. Jay, people think that they're going to just consume your hour-long show, right? Before you ever date. It's like asking somebody to marry you before you've even, shaken hands and met them. So I think micro content, 90 seconds or less is the key. So thank you, Elise, for putting your website in, because I do believe event marketing is the key.
Excellent. And here's the comment from Elise Stoner. Curious about the event partner Matt GPT just mentioned. Go to event-advisors.net for those of you listening on the podcast. Matt, to finish out the bull and bear segment, what are your thoughts on paid SEO marketing today?
Ugh. So I'm really bearish on that. And the reason why is because I am a firm believer in influence marketing, right? If something says that it's promoted, I scroll by it pretty darn quickly, right? Now, there's a difference between promoting and boosting, because I do think that boosting on some systems work well, but this sort of pay per click sort of stuff, especially in financial services, because we're not transaction based, we're relationship based. If you're just selling a product, then yeah, go do it. Just, transact. But if you're truly in the relationship business, which most advisors are, it's all about building deep, long-term relationships with lots of social proof over time. And that PPC stuff now I could be wrong, dude. That's just my opinion.
And then how about AEO marketing?
Yeah. So I don't know how to do it yet, right? I mean, but I definitely think that is the future. There are a couple of really big players in this industry. Emily Binder, by the way, is somebody. If you're not following Emily, she's always on the forefront. Nicole Casperson is another person when it comes to tech, that if you're not following those two people, you really need to, because they're geniuses, honestly, and they're amazing people who create really good content. But that's the future, right? Everybody's talking to their phone. Everybody's asking AI about solutions. If you can be the answer, then you're going to win long term. I just personally don't know how to do it.
We've had some success with AEO at Titleist. It's amazing that people, they'll call and they'll say, "Hey, I found you through a ChatGPT search."
Oh my God. I mean, how amazing is that, dude?
But like you, I'd still need to figure out exactly how that's happening. I have a feeling from the research I've done, is that you just have to optimize your blog post and all your content differently to think like an AI agent that's scrolling, looking for stuff, not SEO. Yeah. All right, Matt, before we wrap up, Sean has another question for you here. Following up, he says, platforms like Salesforce, and he is in the Salesforce ecosystems, are creating out-of-the-box agents like onboarding, KYC, AML agents, or quarterly review agents. Mm-hmm. How would Zocks go head-to-head with these, quote, standard agents? I find that this technology is moving so fast, products can be superseded in days, not months or years. Hearing this a lot from wealth management firms. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's a deep question, and I highly recommend that you reach out to the Zocks team for much more specific answers to this. But here's what I'm going to say, and this is probably not what you were expecting me to say, because I think you wanted, Sean, for me to get a little technical here. But what I think is the most important is for you to build a relationship with a company who is moving in the same direction that you are when it comes to the world of AI. So I want you to look at the personality of the organization, not just the integrations, but what their long-term goals and values are, to be able to help you as a financial services professional be more successful, right? And so that's what I think is really the direction that you need to go. It's like Jay and I have hitched our wagon to GPT. Is it perfect? No. Now Jay uses some other ones too. I'm a specific GPT user. But I think you need to do that with AI agents and AI assistants, like what we have here at Zocks, is you need to hitch your wagon to it and you need to hold on. Every week here at Zocks, we have a product meeting talking about all of the updates and all of the changes and all of the new features and stuff like that. It's really, really hard. And I think you're correct. It is moving so fast, but understanding that not all AI works for everything. One of the cool things about Zocks specifically is it works for financial services professionals. So the whole ecosystem that the software is built is with financial services professionals in mind. It's not just another agent that can do things. This is a very specific and focused agent that understands this industry unbelievably well with the team that they've built here. And I think that's another thing that you'd really need to consider. But other questions, Sean? I mean, honestly, dude, book a demo with the team here. I'm not the one who does the demos because I don't know enough to be able to do that yet. But I definitely think that they could answer those deeper questions for you.
Excellent. To learn more about Zocks, schedule time with Matt as well by going to zocks.io/MattGBT. Matt Halloran, thank you so much for coming on the show again, my friend.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Every single solitary time we have the opportunity to do this, I'm in, brother.
Thank you, sir.
The listener of this content should not assume that any information presented or made available on or through this media channel is receipt of or substitute for personalized investment advice. Titleist Asset Management, LLC, or TAM, is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or expertise. TAM provides its services to individuals, high net worth investors, including trusts and other legal entities, and provides access to model portfolio strategies offered through its affiliate, Shorebird Capital LP. For a copy of TAM's disclosure documents, please visit www.advisorinfo.sec.gov and follow the search instructions.